Welcome everyone to Business Women Australia's Facebook for Business with Cathy Smith.
Hello.
It's good. I hope we've got everyone. I'm sure we've got a few more people that are registered, so we'll just take this part nice and easily and gives everyone a chance to join us. For those of you who have heard this before, bear with me. I like to do it every time because we always have new faces joining Business Women Australia's webinars from all around Australia. It's fantastic seeing everyone, so thank you for taking the time out to join us today. Facebook for Business is such an important subject, and I think it's in times like this, engaging with your community on Facebook is really important. So I can't wait to hear what Cathy's got to say about this. But before we go any further, we'll just acknowledge the country in which we're all gathered in the various places around Australia. Land where First Nations people lived, worked, danced, cared for and celebrated for over 60,000 years. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and we acknowledge and support our Indigenous sisters in business. So I hereby call our meeting open. Our BWA vision is to create a place where everyone's valued and we can contribute to the greater good. Now that's an addition that we've actually added since our last strategic meeting. So Cathy's probably rolling her eyes at that because it keeps changing. But we are wanting to demonstrate a new way to be the #1 national collective community in Australia focused on the success of women in business. And we do it through helping each other achieve goals and dreams, building a network of influence across states, across sectors and across professions, and creating the opportunities that will improve the visibility of business women in Australia. So improving what people are seeing business women doing, so that generates opportunities for members of our community. And people often ask us, well, who is Business Women Australia? Is it mainly entrepreneurs and business women that are owning their own businesses? And that is a really big part of the collective. But we also have a lot of directors and executives and managers who are employed within organisations in leadership roles. We've got a healthy mix of professionals, management consultants and executive coaches. We have a lot of C-suite women, people in the CEO, chief marketing officers, people in the head of people learning and culture kind of roles, as well as women on boards. So we're welcome to leaders and emerging leaders. We've got quite a few students who have been popping into our webinars who are studying business, and we welcome everybody. The other thing that we get asked a question about is, can men join our webinars? And they're most welcome to join as a guest. We focus on 5 areas of development for women in business, leadership being the priority. We believe that as leaders, that helps us become more visible. So we're very much around leadership development and continuous learning as leaders. We also have a very strong focus on business improvement, on the skills and the knowledge to improve your business, grow, scale your business, make it more profitable, and hence why we do webinars like today's. There's also a very strong element of personal growth and self-awareness. We know that the best leaders in the world have a commitment to investing in themselves and getting to understand and know the aspects of themselves that are their natural inclinations and the areas they want to improve upon, and the areas that they need to be more aware of in order to manage as leaders. So personal growth is a key area. Another area of development is obviously in influence and profile building. So we have our directory listing that has all our members on there. We feature our members in our seminars. All our premium level members are selected as our knowledge experts and leaders in their various sectors. So they work with us to develop the program that we deliver for our community, and we widely promote it. So that's really raising, again, that the influential brand of business women. And so connecting is a really important part of that. So we are a national group, we're a national collective, and the wonderful thing about bringing everything online, which is what we've had to do with COVID, is that we're actually really connecting across regions now rural and remote women are actually being able to participate. So it isn't just the CBD and regional cities that we've been focusing on in the past. We're really actually reaching out and connecting across a wider sector of women. Our values are really important to us. Being a very strong organisation with feminine energy, we did spend a lot of time thinking about our values, and we constantly reassess these and say, are they still in line? Are these still the most important ones? Are we behaving in a way that reflects our values around inclusion and diversity, the courage to step up, and the courage to be seen, the courage to try new things. We often make mistakes and there's a learning that's associated with that, and a courage that underpins what we do. So have a look through those, and if they resonate with you and you've been thinking about joining as a member, we really take these values as something that's important to who we are, what we stand for, and when people experience leaders in Business Women Australia, this is ideally what we're aiming to be like. Don't worry, we're all very honest when we fail in living up to our shared values. We pick each other up on it. I can guarantee you that, because I'm often getting good feedback from our members. And what are the benefits of being a part of our community? Well, number one is the connections and the friendships that we generate. Quite often in leadership roles and in business roles, when you're running your own business, or if you're an executive that's managing a team or managing an organisation or on a board, it can be lonely. And it doesn't need to be. It's wonderful to have a community of friends who are your professional friends, who understand what it's like in the juggle, understand the challenges that go with leading organisations. Of course, there's the benefits of directory listing on the BWA website. It's another link back into your website, so excellent for SEO. Also for visibility in terms of people being able to find you. We get a lot of hits to our website, and people looking at who are the women that they might be looking for to do something, maybe speak or run a workshop in their organisation. It is a place where people are really seeking knowledgeable women. Our members get all free online events. All our events for members are free, discounted events when we go back to doing our networking in the various areas where our local leaders want to be running those types of events. But the knowledge sharing and the banters, the roundtable events that we hold online and in the boardrooms are really fantastic for members. We also do lots of social things. We've had quite a few fun events where we've had wine tastings, progressive kind of events where we move from room to room, producer events where we focus on showcasing some of our members. We had originally had a Women of Inspiration dinner planned every year, focusing on women outside the normal business sectors. So looking at women across the community, the arts, the sciences. So lots of things and lots of reasons to get involved and to join, and we'd love to see more members join. You can follow and connect with us on social media. We have a group on LinkedIn that's free for anyone to join. That's a Businesswoman in Australia. We'd love you to follow our LinkedIn company page. Of course, we've got our website, which has got so much information on there, and resources and podcasts and all sorts of things, as well as, of course, our calendar of events, which is really important to keep an eye on that. You can also subscribe to our e-news through our website. So if you want to get, we get them out every couple of weeks, and it's an alert on what's on. And we often do a member spotlight, and there's quite often member specials that are being offered to our community. We have a Facebook page with thousands of followers, and we have a private Facebook group too for members, so they can communicate with each other and ask questions or offer advice or offer opportunities to each other. We have a Twitter and an Instagram handle, and the wonderful Cathy Smith looks after our digital engagement. So we are going to be hearing from someone who really knows a lot about the different platforms and what works and what doesn't work from a business point of view. If you're interested in the hashtags, the most used ones that we tend to utilise are hashtag BWA events and hashtag BWA leaders. Our partners and sponsors, we couldn't do what we do without them. Certainly the revenue that you generate from member fees does not cover the amount of work that happens in the background to make an organisation like this effective. So without our partners and sponsors, we would not be able to do and deliver the phenomenal calendar of events that we actually do, and to be able to manage our online engagement. So thank you to CATCO Enterprises. This is Cathy's business, and her team are working in the background all the time for Businesswomen Australia. For solo accounts, Donna Vincent, who is the founder of this online bookkeeping platform. Solo accounts is designed for sole traders. For any of you that are actually sole traders, or like my own company is a PTY Ltd, but all my team are contractors. So I use solo accounts myself. It's a simple cash-based bookkeeping system where I can actually get the numbers for my BAS statements spat out every quarter very easily, and then I can jump onto the ATO website through MyGov and do my own bookkeeping. So check it out. There's a free trial offer for solo accounts, and Donna and solo accounts are also a national sponsor of Businesswomen Australia, and actually provide all the bookkeeping and accounts background support. So if you hear from Donna, if it's time for your renewals or paying invoices, or if you've got any questions about those sorts of things, then Donna Vincent from Solo Accounts is your key person. We also have online today Vida, who's Inspiration Source, and Inspiration Source are our hosts and our partners. So we do courageous conversations together with Vida, who more than facilitates it, she basically guides us in the experience of a new way of conversing with greater honesty, with more authenticity, more rawness, and really shedding a lot of those onion layers that we've built up over the years. And it's a really safe space. So check out on our calendar what's coming up with Courageous Conversations, and make sure you reach out to Vida on LinkedIn and have a chat to her. She's a wonderful, wise mentor. She's one of my long-term mentors, and I really recommend you follow her and take the plunge to give it a go, because it really is quite different to anything else that we do. Most of our other events are very focused on the business aspects. Bright Business with Pauline Bright, online masterminds, where we do all sorts of things with amazing women, and Pauline herself will facilitate quite a few of those masterminds. And we have Platinum Mix here down in the left-hand corner with Becky Sangster, who does the rapid brainstorming roundtable sessions once a month. So if you've got any business challenges, opportunities that you want to throw into the roundtable forum with amazing industry and professional peers that are members of Businesswomen Australia, that is actually a wonderful experience, and it's amazing how much you learn about each other. And it's a form of networking that is much more powerful than chit chat and handing around business cards, because what it does is it really opens up each of your businesses to each other. And I tell you what, I love them because it really gives me an insight into how I can help my fellow members of Businesswomen Australia. We also have LG Accounting Solutions. They're actually partnering with Donna Vincent to do some really good webinars on business topics. The next one coming up with them is really looking at capital raising and financing, which is obviously going to be something very important coming up for a lot of businesses who are going to need to get access to finance to just keep going through COVID and to be able to pay their staff in order to get these incentives, because obviously with JobKeeper we need to be able to have the money up front to be able to pay our teams. We'll be all looking for finance and how we can cover that. Three Drops Wines, fantastic team. under the direction of Joanne Bradbury, and are our preferred wine partner. They're a national sponsor and very heavily involved in supporting us with events. And Evolving Women, Cindy Turner, our darling Cindy, who's in Sunshine Coast and been looking after and growing our chapter there, is actually undergoing cancer treatment. So Evolving Women, still very close to our hearts, and Cindy very much in our minds and thoughts. So we invite you to get involved. We invite you to come up with any idea that you think might be a good collaboration with Business Women Australia. It's our brand as women. We can do what we like with it, and we don't have to, we can experiment. We can come up with all sorts of things that might be out of the box. And I really love hearing people's ideas when they come to me and say, would you try this? And yeah, let's give it a go. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So check out our calendar of events. There's a lot going on. If you want to have a drink with me after work tomorrow at 4 o'clock Perth time, so 6 o'clock East Coast time, jump in, register, you get the Zoom link. We have a bit of a fun time. There's always a bit of banter at the beginning, and then quite interesting conversation that comes out, because we always get a different group of women online for that. Some with a beer, some with a wine, some with milk. Whatever, and some eating dinner. In fact, East Coast people at 6 o'clock quite often cooking their dinner. So we love seeing you all every Friday for a wind down with me in my lounge room here. We've got coming up online Power Pictures and Media Mastermind with Pauline Bright on the 4th of May. And that one is going to be a good one. In fact, we do have I can't see it here, but we do have a important one with Jackie Walford, who's actually going to give us a Sales Navigator LinkedIn update, and that's on the 29th of this month, so next Wednesday I think it is. Just check the calendar. I've got a cut and paste here where I've gone over the top of it so you can't see it, but check the calendar out. If you're interested in Facebook for Business, I think you should also be learning about Sales Navigator and what's happening on LinkedIn. It's another tool that's online and digital, just so you're aware of what's out there. So make sure you jump onto that one as well, and you'll be able to see all the other sorts of things that we've got on these. I think the new one, the Early Birds with Tracy Ward, I cannot believe I agreed to this, because it's 6:30 a.m. Perth time and I'm usually fast asleep until 7:30. But Tracy Ward is a mindset coach. She's got an organisational psychology background. She's very well experienced in working with executives and leaders, and our first topic for our Early Birds session is actually going to be on setting boundaries, and Tracy will share with us the way that leaders and successful people can actually identify the boundaries that are blocking our success and being able to set boundaries, and how we go about setting boundaries. I'm really looking forward to that. It's something that I've learnt to do but can get better at, and I know when I was a young mum juggling my businesses and my husband working and being the main income earner, and I had a business from home that was probably in development stage, so it wasn't really bringing us income. It was dragging on our finances, and I really found it hard to set boundaries because I was trying to please people all the time. I ran myself totally ragged. Still sometimes do that, so I'm looking forward to that. So lots on. Have a look at that, and we will see you online. If you can see that there's lots of events that you want to go to, then now is a good time to join. It's only $299 for 12 months, and for members, all our online events are free. And if you just want to pop on and check them out, you can check them out for free and see if you think that it's worth investing in, which I'm sure you will, or if you think there's a way we can improve them so that it's more worthy of your investment, then I'd love to hear about that. Our premium level members are by application and by invitation, and they are great supporters of Business Women Australia. They invest more in the business. They're sort of like our angel investors. Their greater contribution goes towards helping pay our contractors and our marketing teams, so that we can actually bring more of these events online for our members. So that's me. I'd love to hear from anyone who's got questions or wants more information about membership, or has ideas about collaborating, or wants to sponsor there's my number, and there is my email, and you can find me on LinkedIn, and if you put an inquiry through our website, Cathy and I are always keeping an eye on what's coming in through that as well. So over to Cathy Smith. Cathy is brilliant. I have been working with her with my clients, as well as seeing how she operates in Businesswomen Australia. She knows her stuff. She's the ultimate professional. She's easy to work with. We call her the Attraction Maven because she just knows how to get brands out that become loved by and engaged by their market. So I will hand over to the fabulous Cathy Smith now, and I'll stop this sharing.
Okay, I will get mine happening. Okay, you cannot share your screen. All right.
Oh, I'll hand over so you can.
Okay, now I can. I think it was just because you were sharing yours. So, all right. Let's just get this sorted. It's interesting because predominantly what I do, of course, is build websites. People think that I should know everything about tech, which is just not the case. But anyway, we've got there. So that's the main thing. So welcome everybody, and hello to those of you that I don't know. Christine, you might just need to turn your sound up because the sound's coming through. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me better than you could hear Lynn. So welcome everybody, and apologies for the few technical issues that we had first up, but we are here now, so this is the important thing. And the question I get asked a lot is Facebook still a good marketing tool? We hear all about the problems of privacy and all the other things that have been going on with Facebook of late. But yes, it is, and I shall go through and let you know why. Now, one of the good things about Facebook is that just about everybody in the world can get it if they so choose. So by the end of 2020, now this may have changed now with COVID, we're not quite sure, but there will be more mobile phones in the world than people have running water and electricity, which is a really sad fact. But there's 11.5 million users in Australia, and that's approximately 40% of the population. So whether you love or hate Facebook, it's certainly a very good business tool, and it certainly gets out to a lot of people. So let's start at the beginning. What we need to be thinking about is, why are you marketing? And this will be a bit interactive, so those that are able to unmute themselves and answer some questions along the way, feel free to do so. Those that don't wish to, that is quite okay as well. So one of the things that I've been asked sort of in the last few weeks is, should we be marketing at the moment with COVID? And is it a situation where we're taking advantage of it? Well, we definitely should be marketing with COVID, and depending on how you do it, no, you're definitely not taking advantage of the situation in a negative way. And remember, of course, if you're not marketing, your competition certainly will be. All right. Okay, so 3 things that your marketing should be doing, whether it's on Facebook or not, is you need to be talking to your audience. So you need to speak clearly to your target audience in their language. So if you're thinking about, say, a baby store, and you talk about kids, but the actual audience talk about children, or vice versa, then you need to be using their actual language and what they would do. Where people get stuck quite often with this is they use their own jargon. So IT people are the worst. They use what they would think that the thing is called, and that's not what people are searching for, and certainly not on Facebook. So think about the words that your audience use, and if you're not sure, just ask them. And you need to be sending the right message at the right time. Okay, now be specific, target your actual audience. Now, I was on a call yesterday, and we were talking about a similar thing, and there was a gentleman there that said, but my audience is everybody. No, your audience is not everybody. It doesn't matter what kind of product you've got, you still have a target audience. So I quite often use the baby store as an example and say that with a baby store, you wouldn't want to be sending teenagers information about baby products. Their parents might get a little bit worried. And this gentleman says, but I can talk to everybody. So he went on to do a 5-minute spiel about what his business was. I can't tell you what it was. I think his brand was something about a Japanese company, and I think it maybe had something to do with water, but he wasn't specific at all. So the whole time he was saying, I can help everybody, I can get my product into schools and anything I want to, because he wasn't specifically talking to anybody in particular, we had no idea what he was doing. So even if your product is food or water or something that everybody can use, you still need to have a target audience, and you still need to be thinking about that one person. Because if you think about having a bag of marbles, which have now become popular again, now that we're home and doing things with the kids, and you walk out onto the driveway and you throw that bag of marbles, they're going to spread everywhere. Now, you may hit one of your target audience or you may not. Whereas if you have something specific that you're just targeting one particular person, 9 times out of 10, you're going to hit them. Obviously not wanting to hit them in the literal sense, but you get the meaning of where I'm going there. So the second thing you need to do is solve their problem. So add value and solve their problem. What is it that your actual product does? So with CATCO Enterprises, we are a digital marketing agency. So we do build websites, fix websites. We also do social media marketing. So the problem that we're solving for our customers is getting them customers, is finding where their customers are, who their customers are, and then targeting their marketing to that customer. And stop thinking about marketing as selling. So if you think about it as selling, it's icky and nobody wants to do it. Whereas if you're thinking about helping somebody, so the customer has a problem, they don't know where their customers are or who they should be having their product in front of. So we're marketing to those people to help them to overcome that problem. And you need to do the same. Now, the third thing is, if it's appropriate, and you need to be a little bit careful with COVID at the moment, you need to entertain your audience. So people like to get a laugh, they like some emotion, and emotion sells. So tell them a story, your brand story, an emotional story about why they can buy into it. So there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, sometimes millions of people doing the same thing as you do, but only you do it your way. So you need to try and incorporate that into your brand. What is different about you? Or make a connection in some other way with your audience, because they need to feel connected to you. So most of us would know who our darling Jan is, or who our darling Jan was. So this was an ad that was run way back when the Yellow Pages was actually a book, and this was Jan's boss. Jan had forgotten to put their listing in the Yellow Pages, and back in the day that was the only marketing available, or most of the marketing available, and it was a huge problem. So this is Jan's boss yelling at Jan saying, "Not happy, Jan," which is where that phrase came from. So it was very comical. And even years later, people are still using that expression, "not happy, Jan." Now, when I was setting this up, my daughter said, "Only you and your generation do that." So here's another one. You can see the emotion in this girl's eyes. She's very driven. She's very focused. You can see that she's been doing some sort of exercise, probably running. You can see the sweat pouring off her. And even though it doesn't have a brand name on it, there'd be very few people that wouldn't know that this is for Nike. And of course, Nike sells shoes, they sell clothing and a few other things, but there's nothing on this image to show that. But it's emotional connection, and we know that this girl is working hard. So what we need to be thinking about with our marketing is, why do our existing customers leave? Now, has anybody got any ideas why customers might leave? Do you want to unmute yourself and jump in? Silence.
They lose trust. You know, they didn't get listened to, or something wasn't delivered that they expected.
Almost. Anybody else want to have a guess?
Their experience?
No.
They weren't satisfied with the service.
No.
Maybe lack of engagement.
No.
They got what they wanted.
No. It's amazing, isn't it? We deal with our customers all the time, and we don't always realise why they leave. So 68% of customers leave because they don't think you care. So we'll put up with the most terrible customer service. We'll put up with products that don't suit us. I mean, look at the telcos and some of the big companies that we deal with all the time. We hate complaining to them, even though our service has been crap for years, because we get put onto a telecentre and you've got to tell 15 different people who don't speak your language and all of that sort of thing. So people will put up with a lot if they think you care. And new customers, any idea how much a new customer costs to bring into the business?
Costs you hundreds.
It costs you 5 times more than keeping an existing customer. So don't you think you should be giving some of your existing customers a little bit of love? So we need to make that connection with our current customers and think about how we can connect with those current customers. And that's where Facebook can come in, because Facebook is a perfect tool for keeping top of mind. So it gives you access to your audience. It gives you the ability to talk to your people, your tribe, your audience, and it keeps you top of mind. Now, I did touch on privacy in the beginning. There's a lot of problems with the privacy on a lot of different things online, but basically read the legals if you're at all worried. If you wouldn't want to walk down the public street and yell whatever it is that you want to put on Facebook, then don't put it on. The dirty laundry should be in your laundry, not on Facebook. And by thinking that you're keeping it private and keeping it locked down is not necessarily going to save you. So basically, especially when you're thinking about business, if it's not something you want your grandmother to know about, then don't put it on there. Okay, and permission, they have to get permission for you to do things, but a lot of it's by bots. So even though you think you're not giving permission, you probably are. So there's a whole stack of stuff on privacy, but basically just go to the actual Facebook legal terms and check it out, because it does change from time to time. So does Facebook still work? Absolutely. How many places can you advertise in for free to your exact ideal customers? How many places do you know the demographics that are looking at your content? So if you put out to a lot of other sort of media outlets, you don't know who's looking at it. You don't know who the demographics are. But with social media, you can get in behind in the analytics, as long as you're using the actual pages and not still trying to do it through your profile, which unfortunately I do see from time to time. You can actually see the demographics, obviously not the exact person, pardon me, but you can see the age range, the location, some of their interests, that sort of thing. And how many places can you make content on the fly that actually engages to your audience and talks to them within seconds, sometimes even minutes? So you can make yourself a quick little video or an image and get it out to people at the drop of a hat. There's not very many things apart from social media that you can do that with. Now, this is one that we did at the beginning of COVID. It's actually a restaurant. And of course, once the government said that you can't do anything bar takeaways, they lost all their trade. They weren't a restaurant that did takeaways. So suddenly we had to come up with some different marketing ideas. And what happened was we got together the marketing group, us, and the client and a few other people, and we worked out that people wouldn't be able to leave their homes. At that stage, it was a lot of people were in the self-isolation. And what we decided was that they would deliver fresh food boxes. So they're basically fruit and veg, and they get a piece of cake and some eggs as well. And when we first put this out, you can see it reached 23, nearly 24,000 people. Now, there was no ad spend put behind this. It had a massive amount of engagement, some comments, and 91 shares. Now, about 10 of those were us, the rest were organic. So it was just a case of the right message at exactly the right time, and that's why it did so well. So even though this page only had 700 likes at the time, which is not a huge number, we got a reach of almost 24,000 people within our local area. So the right message to the right audience at the right time is really powerful. And this was for free. Okay, real sells. So you can do things with stock images, you can do things with actors, you can do all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff that will cost you a heap of money. But at the end of the day, people want to know about you. They want to know about your staff and your products. Okay, so the real you, being authentic. So if you're not comfortable on video, then it's no point forcing yourself to do that, even though video will cut down that trust factor and make it much easier for people to deal with. But if you're sitting there, I don't know if I want to talk and I'm not very good at it, you're not really going to think I know much about marketing if I'm talking to you like this. So if you're not confident, you need to look at a medium that is authentically you. So it might be a case of just doing a voiceover instead of an in-person, face-to-face to camera, that sort of thing. So you need to be authentically you. And then you need to have real photos and real videos. So another way you can do videos if you're not comfortable with it is you might be showing a product. So you might just show your hands. You might be just turning it over or looking at it or unboxing it, that sort of thing. You mightn't have to show your face. So that might be something that you feel comfortable with, even if you're not comfortable having your face on it. Now, don't these look absolutely gorgeous? So this is from one of our BWA members, Annie Malone, who runs Natural Temptation Cafe, which is a local cafe local to us here in Bunbury, Western Australia. And these are the sort of cupcakes that she makes. She decorates them with edible flowers and they just look incredible. They taste really good too. So these are the sort of pictures that we use on her Facebook because it's her stuff. Now, if we just had a stock photo of a cupcake, it wouldn't look anything like that. So it wouldn't be authentic. And then when people went to go in and get it, it would be a total mismatch. So you need to be careful that whatever you're putting out there does that actually represent what you're selling. So this is the gorgeous Annie. And you can see it's not the most fabulous photo, but it's so authentically Annie. And so we use this one as a thank you because Annie's a cafe and she's not allowed to have people in the cafe now. It's all takeaways. So people have been really good and accepting the fact that that's all you can do and buying their coffees. And the other thing that's happened is they're not allowed to do the keep cups and that sort of thing as much now. So people, it's sort of really set the recycling efforts back a bit, which is one of Annie's major points of difference. So we just put out a big thank you with a photo of Annie, and that did really well. If we just put a thank you and maybe an image of thank you, it wouldn't have done so well because people are trying to connect with the actual person. and Annie being a local personality, then people were connecting much more with an actual photo of Annie. Okay, so what doesn't work? You see lots of stuff on Facebook and you hear it all the time that the reach is down and it doesn't work. Disconnect. So I'll just leave you to have a quick little read of this. Now, obviously the words don't match the picture in any way, shape or form. So the words are talking about sprinklers. They're talking about watering your lawn in summer. And the pictures obviously have coloured rice. So you see it quite often where people have put things that don't match up. The disconnect is huge online because people don't trust you already and you've got to build that trust. So if there's any chance of something being slightly wrong, they're just going to hit the back button or keep scrolling and move on. Now, this is another example. It's too difficult to work out what they're actually selling. So when people are scrolling through Facebook, they're doing it really quickly, generally on their phones. So they need to know what it is that you're selling or helping them with or marketing. So if it's too hard, they'll just keep going. Now, this is another one that doesn't work particularly well. Because we're talking about Facebook, Facebook doesn't want you to go anywhere else. So here, this one is going straight to YouTube, which is Facebook's major competition. So Facebook is not going to give this kind of post very much love, if any at all, because it doesn't want you going across to their major competition. So think about when you're doing your posts, where you're actually sending people. Okay, so 3 things for Facebook to work for your business. So the first thing is consistency, and you see it time after time that somebody will get on there on a Sunday afternoon or a Monday morning and they will do all their Facebooking for the week, but they will send it out one after another. So your feed will be absolutely blasted with all of their content. Then you won't see them for a week or a fortnight or a month. You need to be consistent. Now, there's nothing wrong with batching your content like that, but make sure that you have it drip fed throughout the month, the fortnight, or the month. Sorry, throughout the week, the fortnight, or the month, so that you are actually spreading it out. Now, depending on who you listen to, they say from 1 to 5 posts a day. Now, personally, I think 5 posts is a lot, unless you have absolutely stellar content. So less is better than more, and quality, quality, quality over quantity every time. And then it needs to be engaging. So there's no point putting out what you think is quality content if your audience really just don't care. So think about the things that people would ask you normally in a face-to-face or a Zoom or a telephone call, and think about the content that people are going to engage with. So in those previous examples, those beautiful cupcakes, people engage with those all the time. They engage with the photos of real people. So think about that. And then conversation. It is called social media for a reason, because Facebook and all the others want you to be social. So you really need to be talking to your customers and thinking about how you can engage them. So sometimes questions can be a really good thing. So what should you be posting on Facebook? Well, basically, things that your customers want to hear or see. So it could be something like insider knowledge. So this was something that we did at the end of last year. There was a lot of malicious viruses and things going around, especially through Messenger, as it was heading towards the end of, with the new year coming up. So we just put this one up to tell people just to be careful, because these things were coming sometimes up to 4, 5, 10 times a day. And that did really well, because people went, oh yeah, okay, I got one of those. I shouldn't be clicking on that sort of thing. So sometimes things that are in your profession that you might think are just everyday things that everybody should know, you'll be surprised the amount of people that don't know. Lynn and I always have conversations about marketing and we go, yeah, that's commonplace. And it's amazing, even though we both do marketing, we have very different target audiences. So sometimes things that Lynn will say, I'll have actually forgotten because I haven't done that for a while, or vice versa. So it's amazing the things that are just common knowledge to your industry that are not known outside of your industry. So even if everybody does contactless delivery, or everybody's doing a certain thing in your industry, just let your guys know, let your audience know, because they may not. Frequently asked questions. Think about the things that you get asked over and over and over and over. So like with the restaurant, it was, do you do contactless delivery? What are your opening hours? Do you deliver to these suburbs? So all of that sort of thing we can keep putting up on Facebook and showing people that yes, you do that. And think about solutions to your audience's problems, because at the end of the day, they are looking for you to help them. So what is it that you can help them with? So it might be something like in my case, about you see all these wonderful businesses offline, but then when people get online, all they're doing is posting things about their grandkids, which is great, but unless you're selling something to do with children's products or books or that sort of thing, that's not something that you should be posting about on your business page. Now, having said that, it is good to add some personality. So the occasional post like that will actually be good, but you need to be thinking about it as in a business opportunity and helping your customers with their business problems. Now, light entertainment that is related to your industry is also a good thing to do, because we don't want it to be all 100% serious or we're all going to turn off. And especially at the moment where there's so much negativity out there, a little bit of light entertainment never goes astray. Now, should you be posting fluffy cats? Well, it really does depend on what you're going to post. Now, if this was an IT company talking about how cats, dogs, etc. end up causing problems with your laptop, then yes, that would be relevant because it's a fluffy cat sitting on a laptop. If you're a vet or a pet store or somebody like that in relation to that sort of thing, yes. For me, I can probably almost get away with it because I actually have a puma in my logo and it is CATCO. Whereas a lot of businesses, it's just a waste of time and effort. The odd one on a Friday just for some light entertainment is fine, but it's not going to advance your business very far at all. So like I said, you do need to add some personality. People do like to know about you, but don't put your whole entire feed with personality. I'm not, up until recently, liking video much. Now I don't have a choice. So I tend to do these kind of photos. You can still see it's me, and especially on a weekend when I might not be all glammed up. But that really gets people to engage. And then things like local content. So this is a picture of our local estuary, and the local people know about that, so that engages. Now, if you've got a global brand, it still doesn't hurt to put a little bit of local content on, because that way people can still get to know you a bit. And people like to do business with people, so they do need to know a little bit about you. But there is a fine line, and don't overshare. Okay, so talk to your people, your tribe. Stay top of mind. People like to deal with people they know, like, and trust. So you hear it all the time, but it is so true. So if you think about buying a car, everybody sort of cringes when they're talking about buying cars, because car salesmen are not overly trustworthy. They have huge bad reputations of being a bit slimy. And I kind of thought, well, maybe that's old school. Maybe that's not the way it is. Well, I bought a car for my daughter in December, and I can tell you there are still some very slimy car salesmen out there. So when people find the one out of the box car salesman or saleswoman who's not too bad, then you tend to go back to them because they've got a little bit of trust going. So just think about how you can show people through Facebook how you can be trusted. So some of the things that we've just been talking about. So your insider knowledge, things about how you can actually help people. And people like to buy. They don't like to be sold to. So they like to have a choice and they like to be in control of that decision rather than feeling like you've conned them. So you need to stand out from the crowd. So if everybody in your industry is doing exactly the same thing, think about how you can do something a little bit different. And done is better than perfect. So absolutely get it up there. So yes, you might have a few spelling errors. Yes, it mightn't be the absolute 100% copy that you'd hoped it would be, but at least it's out there and then you can fix it. And yes, the grammar Nazis are going to be on your case, but they probably haven't put anything out there. One of my side gigs is podcasting. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, and one of the ladies I like is a lady called Brooke Castillo, and she runs the Life School podcast, the Life Coach podcast, sorry. And what she says is to get out B- work. And when I first heard that, I thought, oh my God, how could you possibly do that? But what she's saying is just get it out there and then you can refine it. You can't help anybody if it's stuck in your head, if it's stuck on your desk, if it's stuck on your computer and nobody ever sees it. So just think about it and get it out there. Now I can't get the slides. There we go. Okay, so how are there ways to get more exposure with Facebook? So great content, obviously. Posting at the right time. So as I spoke about before, there's nothing wrong with setting all your stuff up in advance. Now you do need to be a little bit careful because you don't want something that was posted a couple of weeks ago, set up a couple of weeks ago, and it's now inappropriate when times have changed. So just think about that, and it may be a case that you do need to go back and check your schedules. But sometimes if you go into the insights in the back end of your Facebook, you might see that Saturday at 12 o'clock is a really good time for posting. Whereas that's maybe not a good time for you to be actually on Facebook posting, but you can set that up as a schedule. On one of our clients, 7 o'clock on a Sunday night, their posts get the most attention. Now, I'm certainly not going to be posting that at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night, so you can schedule it. With a client who was a B&B, Mondays and Tuesdays were not good times to post for them because the weekend had just been and people weren't thinking about what they were going to do for the next weekend. Thursday, they got the most engagement because they were the people rushing around going, oh, I've now got time off on the weekend. I want to do something. What's available? So you just need to look at your personal business Facebook and see what the right time for you is. And share into groups. Groups are absolutely fabulous because they are people that may not necessarily know you. They may not have connected with your brand in any way or shape or form. So that gives you an opportunity to get in front of different people. You need to be really careful about the group rules. Some groups will allow you to post as a business all the time. Some will only allow you to post on a certain day. Some will only allow you if you're a certain business. So just check the rules of the groups first. But groups are getting a lot of engagement and it's a great way to get more exposure. And if you're not sure what to post, ask your customers what they want. And if it's something that they want, then it's more likely to get engagement, which will get you better exposure. So things that you need to be thinking about when you're doing your Facebook and making it work is making sure that you're speaking to your target audience in their language, the right message to the right audience at the right time. adding value and solving their problems, and be social. Okay, so don't keep it all dry and all business. You need to be social. And stop thinking about selling all the time. So add some value. So use Facebook as part of your marketing strategy, not as your only marketing strategy, because Facebook is absolutely wonderful, but what happens if it goes away tomorrow? So it is a very powerful tool, but you need to use it as part of your marketing strategy. Okay, and if you are not talking to your tribe, you can bet that your competition, your competitors are. So make sure that you are staying top of mind, especially at the moment, because we've got a lot of people that are not sure who's able to work and who's not. So you really do need to make sure that they still know you're in business, you're still out there, and that you can still help them. So if you like this kind of content, as I mentioned, I do a podcast as well, which comes out every Thursday, and it is free. It's available on all your normal podcasting apps, or you can go directly to the website. And today's edition, which will be coming out later today, is one of our very own BWA members, who is Marie Gooch. So check that out later this afternoon.
That's great, Cathy. You've got a couple of questions here. Vida's got a question about YouTube. Vida, over to you, and Jessica's got a question as well.
Cool.
So Vida.
Yeah, Cathy, you were saying with the YouTube not to put the YouTube link in. So then if you want to refer to a YouTube video, how are you meant to post it?
Okay, if it's your own video, Vida, post it up to Facebook as a native video. Okay, so if you're referring to your own video that you've loaded into YouTube, load it into Facebook separately. If it's a video of somebody else's, you can do it as a YouTube link, but Facebook's not going to give you any exposure on that. So it might be better to write it into a blog and send the people to a blog. It's a little bit more work for them to click twice, but if it's interesting content, they'll do that. Or otherwise, just have it as an actual link without the preview. So write some text and maybe just have a photo, and then they can click directly on the link as opposed to the preview like that example was. Does that help?
Okay, thank you. Yep, that helps. Awesome.
And Jessica?
I've got two questions actually. The first one is how many posts per day ideally would you recommend? And I know it's probably different for every business. And the second one, can you talk about Facebook groups, not joining, but moderating one and having one on top of just your Facebook page?
Yep, sure. Okay, so the first one is about posting. It really depends on how much content you've got, how many people you've got that are following you, and if you can be consistent with that. Now, if you can consistently post 5 posts a day, it's really interesting and you're getting engagement, go for it. But the majority of people can't keep that up for very long. So I would recommend at least 1 post a day if you can, but if you can't, just think about quality. Even if you were to only put up 1 really good quality post a week, that's better than 5 garbage ones a week. So just think about your quality and what you can do in your business. Now, with something like the restaurant clients where things are changing all the time, we're posting all the time because we're trying to keep up to date and let their customers know what's going on. If it's something that's not changing and you're basically rehashing the same sort of thing over and over, if you're doing it on a 6-8 week cycle, it's probably okay. If you're doing that every week, people are going to click off. They're just going to be bored. It's not going to work for you. So just think about the amount of content that you have and then go from there and measure it. If you're posting 5 times a day and your reach has gone down, slow it down, see what happens. If your reach goes up, great. It might be a case that you actually need to post more than that. but it just really depends on that quality. Does that answer that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and then groups, setting up a group. You just go and set it up. On the sidebar, recently was on the right-hand side, but it keeps moving. It does say that you can make your own group. Now, whenever you've got a group, think about having at least 2 admins, and the same with your Facebook pages. Have at least 2 admins. So therefore, if you do something wrong and you end up in Facebook jail and you can't access your Facebook page or group, then somebody else can. And Facebook jail is a real thing, and it happens quite often, especially if you're trying to be too aggressive on Facebook, if you're trying to get people to like your page, or if you're trying to invite too many people into your group. You sometimes can trigger that where Facebook says, I'm not sure if you're a real person or just spamming. So yeah, definitely looking at a group. Now, the way to get people into your group, the first way is obviously invite your friends. Now, just be a bit careful with that. Only invite friends who would actually be interested in your services, not your mum, your sister, your next door neighbour, because you really don't want your group just filled with numbers. You want a group filled with people that are actually interested in your stuff. So then you can post into other people's groups. Now, once again, obviously etiquette, don't fill their group up with your stuff. But sometimes people will ask if you know a group about a specific thing. So we have a group called Love, Share, Sell, which is basically just a business group, and it's exactly that. As long as you have respect, then you're welcome to join that group. So Love, Share, Sell. And we don't have any restrictions on that, whereas a lot of people restrict business groups. So yeah, if you've got a good reason to make a group, then definitely join and make one.
So I've set up the group, but I haven't, posted it, not posted much, there's a couple of people in there just so it's, set up.
Yep.
But I'm really looking at, so I post on Facebook on my, business page every day. So my question is, when I'm now setting up, really plan my social media, like what's the biggest difference between what you post on your Facebook page compared to your Facebook group?
Reach.
What do I need to look at when I actually plan that content?
Yeah, reach. Your Facebook group will be seen by everybody in that group. Your Facebook page won't be. Your Facebook page will generally be only seen by people that have actually engaged in your content and regularly engage in your content. So the idea of setting up your own group is purely for reach. So think about the people in that group and try to get more people in. So it might be a case of posting on your Facebook page to say that we now have a group. Now, depending on the settings of that, whether it's private, public, there may be different reasons there. So if it's like in Vita's case, where she talks about a lot of things where people may not like it to be out in the public, a private group might work for her. Now, if you're having a private group, please respect the people in there and don't keep changing it from private to public to private to public, because you will get people that are then going to delete all their content and get out of it because they thought that was a private group and now suddenly you've made it public. So the main reason for having groups is so that you can talk to your tribe and get that extra reach.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'll have it private and I'll keep it private. Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Excellent. Now, was there any more questions, Lynn? Or if anybody else has got any questions, if they'd like to unmute themselves. Then.
Nothing more in the chat box.
Okay. Well, if nobody's got any more questions, then I might.
I've just got one question
Yeah.
about your podcast, Cathy.
Sure.
So, with your podcast, marketing your podcast, how do you get, what have you found to be the most successful ways of getting attention to your podcast? Because I know you've got quite a few followers all around the world, haven't you?
I have, and that's really interesting, is where the people are coming from, because we've done, we haven't done a lot of marketing with it. It's been something that was sort of a bit of a trial. I'm just trying to work out how to stop sharing my screen, Lynn, so I can go back to you, but I'm not sure. It's not giving me the, there it is.
At the top, if you
There we
hover
go.
up the
Yeah,
top.
got it. Okay, beautiful. It's been a bit of a trial, and it's also been a exposure sort of thing, because for those of you who know me quite well, I'm very much an introvert. So it's been going 12 months now. So 12 months ago, we decided that I needed to step out. So being in front of the podcast and having my voice was a huge step out of my comfort zone. So it's been a sort of personal development thing as much as possible. So we have more than half of our audience in America and Canada. So they have actually just found us through their podcast apps or searching for the content that we've put out there. So it's an amazing way of getting your name out there. And mid last year, I was at an event, and it was a networking event where there was only one person per category, and there was already somebody there who was in the web design category. So I thought, well, I won't step on their toes. So I said, oh yes, I'm a podcaster. And this guy just stopped and he just glared at me, and I thought, oh dear, what have I done wrong? And he said, you're not Small Business Talk, are you? You're not that Cathy Smith. And I said, yes, actually I am. And this gentleman had, a couple of weeks earlier, his podcasting app had actually suggested that from the content he was listening to, that this might be a great podcast to listen to. So it was a really surreal kind of moment. So yeah, so back to your question, Lynn, it is a great marketing tool, and yes, we probably should be doing more with it. But basically it's organic.
It's so interesting, and well done for taking the courage to step out and challenge your own usual way of doing things and doing it. It's really great to have seen how well that's gone. And I think podcasts, everyone's always looking for great content, that they can listen to, whether they're commuting or when they go for a run or whatever. And I think that it's a great form of educating your market and developing trust and credibility. And I think podcasts are the way to go as another part of that whole marketing mix. So
yeah, absolutely. And because even though the one I do, we don't do it through YouTube, we do have a YouTube channel, but it's just the bouncing line. It is that trust thing. They can hear me speak, so they can obviously say, well, I like her accent, I like the way she talks, or I don't. So it definitely is that trust thing. So the next step, of course, is to get in front of the camera and do it as a YouTube. But baby steps, we'll do one step at a time. But yeah, it's definitely a trust thing, and people do like to see that you are real, and they like to see your style.
And I've seen you promote it on Facebook through your Facebook channels. What does Facebook think about that? Because it is taking people again out of Facebook onto your podcast. Does it get the engagement? Yeah,
they don't seem to have a problem with that as much, because generally when we're doing that, we're also sending them back to a website. So it's a website link. We're not sending them to YouTube. The biggest thing that they have a problem with is YouTube, because that's their major opposition. So
there's the answer too. Another layer to that answer from Vita's question is by, you've got your YouTube channel, but you really want to make sure that you're also housing your content in your website, bringing the traffic back to your website ultimately.
Yeah. And Facebook and social media are absolutely wonderful platforms, but you don't own them. You've got no control over what's going to happen. So you hear all the time about these people that have got hundreds of thousands of followers, and suddenly they wake up the next morning and they're all gone. Now, they can cry poor as much as they like, but generally it's when they have been doing competitions. So you can't ask people to like, tag and share a post to win something. It is actually against Facebook's terms and conditions. And you see it all the time. And you see pages that are growing massively through that. Now, the problem there is that if your competition then turns around and says, you've been running competitions, and they report you to Facebook, and Facebook decide that, yes, you have been doing that, which you obviously have, and close you down, you've got no recourse. Your page that's got 1,000 likes, 10,000 likes, 100,000 likes can be gone in an instant. Now, unless you've taken those people off that page, so you've given them a PDF to download to have a look at, you've engaged with them some other way, so you've got their phone number or their email address, you've lost all those contacts, and it can be literally in split seconds. So you really do need to look at Facebook as part of your marketing strategy, not your whole marketing strategy, because otherwise you're just basically leaving it in the hands of the Facebook gods, and you can't ring Mark and say, hey, I really didn't mean to do that. I was a naughty girl. Please give me back my Facebook page, because you won't, and you could lose it just like that.
Well, I certainly, was sceptical about Facebook as anything more than an engagement tool, because I think that's an important part, and I know that's you and I both share it. That's really its best way of engaging and connecting and building a relationship with your target market, your clients and your prospective clients. But the experiment that we ran last year with the download of the Grow and Thrive business planning tool that what we created for Businesswomen Australia under my authorship was very interesting, because we got so many downloads, and then pushed them into the active campaign funnel. It was all very too many touch points we learnt, but what it was, the ultimate thing was to actually then talk to people who are out there who had downloaded my book. I think we had 1,000 downloads in some ridiculously short amount of time. We had to turn off the campaign. It got out of control. So having a lead magnet in a campaign-based marketing is also another avenue for small businesses to think about, and comes back down to what you were saying earlier on, Cathy, about really understanding what problem you're solving in your target market, and then saying, well, what is it that's something that I can gift to that target client, to run a campaign that utilises a lot of the categories that really are granular, that's available in Facebook. And this is where I think there is great potential to take it beyond just engagement, to actually use it as a lead generation platform, as long as it's done well and as long as you're equipped within your organisation to cope with it. So something we learnt very quickly was, with 1,000 downloads and me offering a 30-minute Grow and Thrive session for people, we weren't equipped. Businesswomen Australia just wasn't equipped to handle that kind level of need that was in the market. And I'd only had a few days a week that I could make available for 30-minute Grow and Thrive sessions, which are not revenue generating but lead nurturing. And then what grew out of that was then the decision to offer online masterminds, and Pauline very graciously stepped in to help do that and make them available, because we also realised that the target market and the audience that had a need, that were business women all around Australia, were all over the place, from central Queensland right through to Tasmania and Northern Territory. And so making online masterminds where they could come and connect and learn, and then sort of not feel isolated, solved a problem. So a new product came out of that campaign. Not so much lots of new members. We got a few new members out of it, but what it did was, it was an incredibly useful piece of market research, way more powerful than doing a Survey Monkey bit of research. So there's another aspect that I think, because as you say, so many people are on Facebook, and it's such an amazing way to really engage with people that you can get a better understanding of what their needs are and what's going on with them, and then be able to look at that in terms of your product development and how you price things, and then how you set your business up to really take advantage of those opportunities that can be unleashed. So from a strategic marketing point of view, I had to admit I was wrong about Facebook, and that it's definitely a valuable business tool and a great place to learn about and understand the needs of your market.
Absolutely. And with market research, it can be something like you thinking about putting out a book. So you can put that out to your audience. So if you've got your business page or your group or both, and say, I'm writing a book on marketing, and this is the title I'm thinking of doing it on. What do you think? And you might give them a survey of 4 different titles. And what can come out of that is that then your market will say, oh no, I don't resonate with those 3. And one of those was your favorite. And if you put that out into the marketplace, that book would probably bomb. Whereas if you put it out as market research first through Facebook, it's not going to cost you anything. It's going to give you a whole stack of data, exactly the same as what Lynn was just saying with her example. And then you can tweak it and shift it before you actually get that book printed. Or it might be a new product packaging or product name, those sorts of things. So it is absolutely wonderful for doing market research in product development and all sorts of different areas. It might be also a case of thinking about your opening hours. So you generally work 9 to 5. And it might be a case if you're thinking about not working on a Tuesday, but working on a Saturday morning. So you can put that out to your market and see what they think. And so you can get all that feedback about how you're going to run your business before you make major changes. And especially with the covert stuff that's happening at the moment, is some people are saying they may not go back to doing online, doing face-to-face meetings, or they may not go back to having an actual shop front. So these are the kind of questions that you can ask your tribe and say, if I was only to be available for appointments via Zoom or online, would you still want to deal with me? If I was only available on these particular days, that sort of thing. And you might think that's really small potatoes, but that can make a huge difference to your life and your business.
Thanks, Cathy. That's fantastic. Any other questions before we wrap up?